What is the role of the university? The sociologist Charles Wright Mills describes it as an institution devoted, for all its imperfections, to notionally noble callings, the disinterested creation and dissemination of knowledge collectively validated by neutral peers using accepted norms and tested in open debate. The education of young adults for informed citizen responsibilities and the opportunity for older ones to broaden their horizons. And within the academic community, the practice of democratic discourse and decision making. Sounds like an academic nirvana, doesn't it? What such assumptions fail to recognize is the level of corporatization and bureaucratization, both by government and corporations, that has transformed the university to an academic industrial complex, serving the needs of the state and the corporations in exchange for donations, fellowships, and other forms of funding. The language also fails to capture a critical aspect of the university, which is the absence of neutrality in the work of knowledge creation. An understanding of this concept is important in analyzing the bracket within which the university falls and its resistance to counter-hegemonic uprisings within the institution. As a means of production for the market, its main objective is to produce, at the least cost possible, efficient laborers who go on to join the market. It is within this lens that international students are portrayed as an expansion into foreign markets. What does this mean for the over 1 million international students that attend US colleges annually? How much information is offered about higher education in the US beyond acceptance rates, study abroad opportunities, and notable alumni? The colonial master left, but not without leaving behind an enduring colonial legacy. He knew the people would take back the power, take back the land and the language, but many would forget to take back the mind, and so he left a seed in what was once his mission school. And this seed transformed to what is now called a national school in many countries, where one is reminded to be grateful to the missionaries that taught them how to read and write, but must never speak of the terror of not knowing one's tongue and the anguish that came from disowning one's blood to follow the missionaries' faith. Here the teacher is called master, but what does that make the student? Slaves? And if they are slaves, what is this system that they have been enslaved into? This legacy of colonialism constructs an economic standard of what is useful for international students in the global context. Many come to get better opportunities, to gain skills that will in turn be used back in their home countries. What is, however, rarely questioned is the usefulness of an education that teaches an individual how to do rather than how to think. How else could one then explain the idea of an international student from a place such as Tanzania being in an economic development class that uses similar economic theories to that of the International Monetary Fund, an organization that once declared Senegal had too many university students in 1994, leading to the expulsion of over 75,000 students to what was a more optimal 25,000. What actual skills do these students then go on to incorporate in their home countries? An examination of the connection between capitalism and academic culture points to a closely associated relational dynamic. Academic institutions present productivity and performance as key measures of individual worth and success. Standardized tests and GPAs turn students to numbers, creating a worldview that success is about competition. Students are forced to recognize their position in the assembly line, that is the academic industrial complex, made of institutions heavily invested in producing labor for corporations, and international students are no exception. They do not find it absurd when for the same internship they receive far much better compensation than they would have had they been a local graduate. Sometimes they too are called expatriates because somehow the educational opportunities they have received catalyze their naturalization into American culture. Such perks make it difficult to be more critical of the knowledge being gained. But in doing this, students are trapped in a system that rewards obedience with stable jobs, good salaries, free travel, and a fast lane into the corporate world. The definition of progress to the university. Here, it is imperative for international students to seek different parameters within which to construct their ambitions without being complicit to the capitalist structure that oppresses their local counterparts. This begins with recognizing such benefits as a form of privilege and being willing to divest from them. In addition, it is important to question the idea of development as presented in the classroom. What work does the representation of development as an acquisition of more capital and resources do for their communities? What does the equation of modernization to westernization mean for those that come from societies inherently different? Despite being aware of this, why then do international students still choose to come to these institutions? Ultimately, how does one reconcile with the fact that they willingly applied and are thriving in a system that equips so many individuals with tools that go on to brutalize communities far and wide? How can one be critical of the academy as an industrial complex only to continuously gain rank within it? Is the answer abandonment? Che Guevara once, when giving a speech at the University of La Villas, declared, "Today the people stand at the door of the university, and it is the university that must be flexible. It must color itself black, mulatto, worker, peasant, or else be left without doors. And then the people will tear it apart and paint it with the colors they see fit." Well, the continual process of mind decolonization is the paint through which students can continuously paint the university with colors they deem fit, be it better working conditions for the workers, a condemnation of white nationalism, or deconstructing rape culture within campuses. So no, you do not leave. You stay behind to build on the work of those that came before you. You keep the institution accountable through organizing or mass protest, or even generating content that gives others a critical framework within which they too can learn the process of mind decolonization. After all, the university may have produced the leaders of powerful corporations, but it also produced revolutionaries that have gone on to create new societies for their people. People who have used education as a liberatory weapon, not only for them, but for their communities. It is important to connect the dots and realize that systems of domination, such as white nationalism and imperialist corporate capitalism, are not only in the United States, but also in other countries. Coming together to create a body of work that exhaustively highlights the interconnectedness of these systems of domination is crucial in producing more nuanced arguments that unite all affected communities globally. Only then can an accurate construction of a better society be built that is cognizant of all people's needs. This is the work that must be done to acquire that decolonized education. Are you ready?